Hey there, I'm Sydney Kane and I'm a Shenandoah Valley wedding and portrait photographer, and today we're doing something a little different. We're going behind the scenes to see my complete culling and editing workflow. I'm going to show you guys all my tips and tricks as to how I can consistently deliver portrait sessions within a few hours and entire weddings within a few days. But first, before I go into what I do now, I want to talk a little bit about what I used to do. Sometimes photographers can be really stuck in their ways, and I definitely was. I had a system and I knew it worked, so I was very hesitant to try anything else. Problem was, my system took me days upon days and hours upon hours to do every step of the process, and pretty quickly I was burnt out like crazy. I was not enjoying the process. I didn't feel like I had any creative outlets to it. My photos would always come out inconsistent. It was just a mess. So here's what I used to do. I used to import all the photos directly into Lightroom, all of the photos that I took. I would import them all. Once they were all there, I would generate one-to-one previews, which basically means when you later click on a photo and zoom in, it doesn't take any time to load. So I did something right from the beginning, but I was doing that for every single photo I took. Once that finished, and it would take a few hours because there were so many photos in there, I would go into the compare view, start with the first two photos, and compare just the first two. And if I deleted one, it would disappear and the next one would show up. And one by one, I compared photos throughout the entire gallery. This was probably the most inefficient thing I could have ever done, but it felt right to me at the time. It was how I agonized between two very similar photos. I would zoom in, zoom out, and look at them all over the place, and then delete it, and then the next one would show up and still basically be the same. So in this way, I kind of slowly deleted all the bad ones until I was left with the good ones, and then I would do the whole process over again to get rid of even more duplicates and any of the other ones that I didn't want to deliver at that time. It was awful. That culling process took hours upon hours. It was just not fun. And then I had to edit the photos. So I would start with the first one. I just did whatever edit I felt that photo needed. And then no matter how long it took or how detailed it was, and then I would go on to the next photo and do the same thing. So each photo could take me 5 minutes to edit, and I was editing so many. This editing process would take me days, and I was never truly happy with the final gallery because each photo was just so inconsistent, and I really didn't have a style yet. When I was finally finished editing all the photos, I would upload them directly to my gallery delivery site and deliver the gallery. However, it was at least a week later and the photos were not super consistent, but that was my process, and I thought that was as good as it was ever gonna get. I was so wrong. Thankfully, over the years, I have tested out new programs. I have tried out different ways of editing, different ways of culling, different ways of mentally thinking about my own process, and finally I'm at the point where I can consistently deliver beautiful galleries that are consistent from photo to photo. They all look like they came from my style, they all look like they came from me, and I can deliver them way faster than normal. So I can deliver a portrait session within a few hours, maybe the next morning if it's late at night. I can deliver an entire wedding in a few days, but that's just my lifestyle. I love to just get that editing out of the way and deliver it as fast as possible. One, so it gets off my plate, but way more importantly, so that the clients feel super special. They're like, wow, you really prioritized my gallery. Thank you so much. Like, this turnaround time's incredible. So I kind of do it for a lot of reasons. I also just don't like having things hang over my head like that, so I try to get this done as fast as possible, while still putting a lot of time and effort into the photos. My aim with this video is to give you at least a few different tips for how to edit, cull, and deliver as fast as possible. Okay, let's dive right in. Okay, so now we're going to walk through my new system. I'm going to walk you through step by step what I do and what it looks like. So number one, I plug in my card reader and my external hard drive. When both are plugged in, this allows me to put the raw files directly onto my external hard drive so they're not taking up space on my computer, and my laptop is old and cannot handle that. So they go directly onto my external hard drive, which means it's plugged in whenever I'm doing editing or any video work or anything like that. So the next thing I do is I open up the folders on my computer and I make a new folder for this shoot. So I call it by the date, I call it by the who is in this session, and then I put the date again at the end. And then within that folder, I do a to edit session. And you'll see what this looks like. So this was a shoot that I just did with my roommates. We're called the B-Monks, so it's called B-Monk Newman Lake session. Alright, so once I have those folders set up, I open up PhotoMechanic. If you do not already have PhotoMechanic, I cannot suggest enough that you get it. I am not sponsored by them or anything. I just love them to death and what they do for the photography community. So what it is it is a program that you download onto your computer. It is a one-time fee of I think $150 or something. Yeah, so PhotoMechanic is a culling software. It is a renaming software. It does a lot of things, but I pretty much only use it to cull. So if you know any more things that PhotoMechanic does, great, let me know. I don't really use them, but it's an awesome software and I cannot recommend it enough. So what you do is you come over, you do File, Ingest, and you're going to, this is my card reader, and then I'm going to select the primary destination. So this is on my external hard drive, and I'm going to go all the way down to the folder I just created, B-Monk Newman Lake session. And that is the folder. See, that is the subfolder where I'm going to drag the photos I want to edit, but I'm just going to put it directly in there. And I have directly into primary and secondary folders, so when I click ingest, what's going to happen is it is putting all of the raw files on my card reader onto my external hard drive right where I put them. So this is going to take a few minutes depending on how many photos you have, but they're all going to, you can see them already starting to show up. Okay, that is just about finished. It took literally 4 minutes. And so as soon as this is done importing, I am going to show you the difference between how I used to cull and how I cull now. So the way I used to cull, there we go, I took 366 photos on this session. So the way I would used to cull is I would pull up both of these in Lightroom, decide that I liked this one better, so I delete this, and then go to the next one, decide I like this one better, so I'm going to delete this. So instead of deleting the ones I don't like as much, the new system is picking out the best photos. So what that means is instead of going through and being like, oh, this one's better than this one, all I'm looking for is this one is great, pick it. And I'm going to show you how this works. But the reason I like PhotoMechanic so much is that even though I just imported these, it's going to open up a new window on me, but it will go through so quickly. There we go. Alright, so instead of having Lightroom load everything very slowly, PhotoMechanic, you can go through the photos at whatever speed you want. Like, this is incredibly fast. I'm also filming my screen right now, so it doesn't like it as much. But it is so much faster. And so instead of just going through being like, which of these two do I like more kind of a thing, I'm just going to keep going through. And when I find one I like, say I like this one, I press the 1 key and you can see that it gets a pink label on it. This is just the one I use. So then instead of going through and kind of picking whatever, like, oh, that one was cute, so I'm going to pick that one, and then I just move on. I don't like agonize between, oh man, which of these two do I really want to keep? So this process goes way faster because you are, instead of, going one by one, you're just going through the whole thing once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times if you really want to, and you're just picking your favorites out of the bunch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cull this whole session and you guys will see how I do this. You're also gonna see how goofy my roommates are. Okay, that is the end. That is all 4 of us all together. I put my camera on the light post so that we could, and I set a 10-second timer and I ran so that we can get a family picture. Alright, so now that is done, I'm exiting out of this window and you can see that when I move this thing, you go over and you click this little black button And now it is showing, instead of 366, I am now down to 105 images. So just by very quickly going through and picking out favorites instead of just slowly deleting the bad ones or worse ones, the process is just so much faster. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to go down into my external hard drive, go into that folder that I just selected, and I'm going to put them all into the to edit. And then it's going to take just a second to do that. And then we're good. So I'm going to exit out of PhotoMechanic and I'm going to show you what I do in Lightroom. Okay, now we are in Adobe Lightroom. This is where I do all of my photo editing. Almost 99% of everything I do is going to be inside of Lightroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the photos that I just culled. Okay, so here are our 105 images. Alright, so instead of importing them all, I'm just going to import these first few. Awesome. So when I'm in here, on import, I build one-to-one previews so that they generate, so that when I zoom in on them, they will already be preloaded. And then I also import my settings. It's a little embarrassing. I call it Caitlin James because I based it off of a free editing webinar that she had way back in the day when she was first promoting one of her courses. But I took some of the base things that she did and I turned it into my own preset, and over the years I have developed it further towards my style and gone more in depth, but it is still named Caitlin James, so those are my beginnings. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press import, and it's going to import these just first 10 photos. So it is importing them, and now it is going to apply the preset and then build those one-to-one previews. Depending on how fast your computer is and how many images you do, this could take anywhere from 10 minutes all the way to 2 hours, just depending on the amount of images. Okay, that only took about a minute and a half to do those 10 photos, which is awesome. It obviously takes a little longer when you have more than 10 photos, but anyway. Alright, so once all of my images have been imported, their presets have been applied, and the one-to-one previews have been generated, the next thing I do is I start editing. So for example, if these are the 10 images that I've picked as a sneak peek from a wedding day, I will edit them all individually, put a lot of effort into getting the exposure right, the colors right, everything else right, putting a lot into those sneak peeks and then sending them off. However, when I'm doing just a portrait session, I don't do sneak peeks. I would rather get that whole video out within a few hours. I would rather get that whole gallery out within a few hours. So I'm going to show you a tactic that I use for all of my portrait sessions and what I do once I do all of my sneak peeks. So I'm going to go into the develop module. Okay, here we are. And by the way, I pressed the D button on my keyboard, which is a shortcut to get into that develop module. Alright, so while I'm here, I'm going to do a few things. I already have my preset applied, so that's, you can already see what I do here. I do more in the further things down below, but most of my editing, especially here when there isn't like a landscape in the background, a dehaze or anything like that, I'm going to stay in this basics category the whole time. This is not a video on editing. I can do more of those in the future if you want me to. But you can kind of see the base. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this image, and then I'm going to show you my hack for the rest. Awesome, so I'm happy with the way that this photo came out. It was very basic edits, just because the light was really even. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the grid view. So to do that, you press the G on your keyboard. And now that I'm here, a big hack that I have learned is if you right click on the photo you just edited, you go down to develop settings and you say copy settings, and it's going to bring up this category. I like to have everything checked except for local adjustments, transform, and crop. And you're going to press copy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to select all the images that were in the same kind of light kind of situation, so I'm only going to apply it to these two instead of all of them. So you're going to press right click, going to go to develop settings, and you're going to press paste settings. So now it's going to paste the two developed settings that I worked from there. And this works super well, especially if it's something like this where you have 5, maybe 20 of the scene kind of lights. But this hack has saved a lot of time, and the biggest time saver it does is at weddings. So if you put out a sneak preview of one photo from every part of the day, what you can do is copy those settings, say from that first look light, and then paste those settings to all of the first look photos. On top of your preset, you put those very specific settings, say the light was a little bluer in that area, then you can make it a little warmer and be able to apply it to all of those photos. So being able to do this saves so much time in my editing. So what I do is I edit that first photo, I apply it to the rest of the photos in the series, and then I just make the smallest adjustments to these two photos because they're pretty much already edited. The main things I'm doing are any cropping or spot removals or anything small like that, small adjustments. And this tip alone has saved me hours upon hours of editing, so that when I actually sit down to edit, it is just going by super fast because I have the same settings and I can apply it to multiple locations. And whenever I'm done editing all these photos, I just use Lightroom to upload them directly into my gallery service provider. If you're not doing that, you need to start doing that. No more exporting them all, putting them in Google Drive, putting them to your tablet and then uploading them to your platform, whatever. No, I guarantee that you can almost always directly upload your photos right to your gallery delivery system. So please look into that. But those are the life-saving tips that have cut my editing delivery time down by 100 times. I said 5 times, but it's really more like 100 times. This is how I'm able to deliver sessions within a few hours and how I deliver weddings within a few days. I hope that you can take away some of these tips and apply them to your own workflow, and hopefully your editing and delivery time is cut down too. So please let me know if you try any of these tactics, if they work for you, or if you have your own editing hacks that will make it go a little faster, let me know. So please scroll down, leave a comment. I would love to hear if any of these tips really help. And also let me know if you want to hear more about these kind of life-saving tips, or if you want me to go more into the mentality behind culling or how I edit, or anything else I do in Lightroom. Let me know what else you want to see from here, and if you like this kind of video. I love being outside and just talking to you, but I think it's really special when I can show you my computer screen and really bring you into the behind the scenes process. So please let me know what else you want to hear from me. If you'd like more information about these kinds of tips, go ahead and click on the link down in the caption below so you can check out the blog post that goes along with this. It has a little bit more details. And you can check out all the other education I have both on the YouTube channel and on my blog. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time.